How are we all, guys? Good afternoon. Hope everybody is doing well on this Tuesday afternoon. Going to be going over a few markets as usual. Going to be taking a look at sort of the euro dollar as well as some other opportunities. In a position on euro dollar short at the moment, so I'm going to cover kind of what I was looking at on that particular position, and then we'll go over some other potential markets. Did like the idea of being long dollar Swiss. I'm just looking at how potentially get involved with that market. We've seen a little bit of a spike higher here. We'll just go to the daily chart on the left-hand screen. Just waiting to see what kind of price action sets up here on the daily chart, and just kind of waiting, being a little bit patient here to see if anything can kind of develop. Didn't get long in here this morning. It would have been maybe a nice area to get in long towards that 86.60. I quite like the idea of a bit of a deeper pullback on dollar Swiss, but whether we get that or not, obviously, is a different question. We can obviously see there's a little bit of sort of support and resistance going on around about the 86.50 handle on the daily chart. I can see that there is sort of support, resistance. Is that support again, and are we going to see a little bit of a move higher? But I'm just holding off on this at the moment, just seeing how this can kind of shape up and develop a little bit more. Maybe we'll get a bit of a deeper retracement again. Maybe price will try and attack the 86.50. Maybe we'll have a little look at that over the coming days or whatnot. I'm just monitoring the daily chart basically on this one, seeing how that can set up. Who have we got in then? So hi Rye Guy, morning. Hope you're doing well. Vincent, welcome. I'm doing well, thank you. Hope you are too. Afternoon, Ifran as well. Welcome back. So hi Justin as well. Yeah, looking at dollar Swiss, I'd also like it to pull back a bit further. Yeah, I do like the idea of being long on dollar Swiss. It's just I would like to be in a little bit lower. We did obviously get a little bit of a rebound down at this 83.56 area, which was a pretty big level actually. If I just highlight this from a higher time frame perspective, if we just zoom way out here on this daily chart, we can see it was this low that formed back in 2015, and prices come all the way back into that level. So it's not really a surprise that we've seen some kind of reaction there. But obviously, I would like to try and get in on this potential move. So I'm just going to be monitoring this one as well. Suba, welcome as well. Yeah, hope everybody is doing well. Let me know as well, guys, what kind of markets you're looking at. I'll go take a look at those. There's not too many on my list this week, I must admit. Looking at the sort of currency strength meter for this week, there's not too much to kind of go off. The only things I like, I'll just zoom in a little bit here. From a strength meter perspective, I like the fact that we've got the yen in that potential reversal zone. We've just seen, obviously, the Bank of Japan hold interest rates in the negative. But however, they are making some kind of steps potentially towards hiking and coming out of those negative interest rates. So I did like the idea of maybe seeing some yen strength come back into the market. Haven't really seen that yet. We've started to see a kind of couple of days of that, but it's been actually fairly choppy. So I'll be interested to see if that can develop at some point. The dollar obviously is a currency of interest for me because it's coming out of this reversal zone and it's starting to push higher here, which is this red line that you can see. And the Swiss francs of interest because it's starting to potentially reverse as well. So for me, I'm only looking at or monitoring sort of a few currency pairs. Dollar Swiss is one of those. The US dollar in general, I like to be long on. So that's why I'm kind of looking at sort of euro dollar short at the moment. That's more based off kind of trading the opposite of what the dollar index is doing. And obviously we've got the potential for Swiss yen as well. Don't typically trade Swiss yen all that often. but it still could be something that we look at going forward into this week. So yeah, not a huge amount of currency pairs to be working with this week. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but those would be the ones that I'd be potentially looking at. The only other one I quite like the look of was CAD Swiss as well. So CAD Swiss, basically seeing a little bit of that CAD strength coming into the market according to the strength meter is the green line, and it's kind of heading a little bit higher as well. Ishmael, welcome to the stream. Hello, John. Can you talk about the pound Swiss, please? Yeah, absolutely. Pound Swiss could be one to watch as well, especially because of the sort of range that has been forming on cable. So that's definitely one that you could take a look at. Let's go have a little look at a few charts then. So like I said, dollar Swiss alike to the upside. I think that could be a good trending market. 0 spot 88 could be targets, and if we breach that, we could be seeing some further upside on that. I am short euro dollar at the moment, so I will go take you through that market. Did see some stimulus out of China as well, which is probably why we're seeing a little bit of a boost to sort of the Australian dollar and things like that at the moment. So I will be covering a couple of Aussie pairs as well. But let's go check out those Swiss pairs first, and then we'll come back to some others. So let's go over to pound Swiss. I'll cover that first for Ishmael. And we can see, obviously, pound Swiss has breached to the upside. I think the last time we looked at pound Swiss, I mean, we've got some old data on here. I think it was we were looking at how price would react in and around this area and whether we'd get any kind of continuation or a breakout at that point. Daily price action was really sort of slowing into this level, but we didn't really see any kind of aggressive selling coming in, and we've obviously breached that level now, and we've headed higher. So for me, I just like to look at where the kind of big moves have come from. If we go into that weekly time frame, you know, could we argue maybe that price has found support now back down at this 1.0645, which were these lows that formed back in September 2022. Starting to see a little bit of a push here. Maybe we're going to be heading back up towards these kind of weekly highs that formed back in November. So that would probably be where I would be looking at sort of where the market could potentially come towards these kind of highs in here. Obviously, I like to think in terms of volumes as well. So when I look at this daily chart, I know there's going to be a lot of volume up in and around this area here because it was a large scale sort of consolidation, and in consolidations you have large volumes being built, okay? Because when the market goes sideways, there's almost an agreement between buyers and sellers that this market is in sort of a fair value area. Sellers then obviously won and price pushed to the downside, and now we're coming back and testing that area. So what I'll do is I'll just put a little fixed range volume profile on here. Now volume profile is a good tool. You need to use it with a pinch of salt when you're using it with sort of FX pairs. They're better on the futures markets, but I can see basically it just highlights that what I'm saying is there's a lot of volume being built around this area. The most traded level is around where price is kind of at the moment. So again, we're seeing a bit of sort of indecision going on around that point. So let's say sellers win and we do start to see a little bit of a push down, then I would expect a sort of decline here. However, I like the idea of dollar Swiss moving higher, and potentially cables a bit range bound at the moment. So when I look at a cross pair like pound Swiss, I try and understand what that market is doing in terms of you are trading cable against dollar Swiss. Okay, so I like to say to myself, well, if in that situation, what do I want to be looking at in order for pound Swiss to move higher? I want pound dollar to be moving to the upside, and I want dollar Swiss to be moving higher as well. Now, you might think that will not work hand in hand because you've got sort of the dollar element off the back of this, but that is what we need to see in order for price to continue higher. So I can kind of tick off dollar Swiss as moving higher because I'm expecting potentially dollar Swiss to move higher. We're not really at support or anything though, so that might be a little bit of a reason why we should hold back off maybe on any kind of opportunities here just this second. But if I was now to go flick over to cable and see where cable is, I can see that cable is at resistance. Okay, so if I actually just delete that drawer in there, I can see that cable is at resistance. So we're in a little bit of a sort of trading range here on cable. Now, last week we kind of said maybe look at cable longs because you've got price coming into the sort of range low. Okay, so when you're at a range low, you don't really want to be selling anymore. You want to be looking to reverse and potentially buy. When you come up towards range highs, you want to be looking for short opportunities. Okay, now it's obviously hard to sort of pick out when that top is potentially going to come in, but I can see that obviously cable has tried to make it to the highs. We're seeing a rejection here. It could start to now push back towards these lows, so that goes against really my idea of being long pound Swiss, doesn't it? Because the market is heading lower at this current moment in time. What I would say, if you did want to get pound Swiss, is I would set an alert around about the range low here. Now, if cable hit this range low and we started to see some kind of buying coming back in, then I would potentially then look around at other other sterling pairs to see if there's anything that's kind of offsetting that. So let's say dollar Swiss is really rallying, pound US dollar comes into these range lows, then I'd be looking at my pound Swiss, okay, for a potential opportunity. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, there's some really good examples of how you should kind of use your major currency pairs to trade your cross pairs, essentially, because that's what your cross pairs are made up of. So yeah, if it was a different way around, if cable was here at the time of us discussing the potential long on dollar Swiss, pound Swiss, then I would potentially look at that. I think at the moment though, until cable's at support, you may find yourself price might just kind of hold here. If it does kind of pull back a little bit and cable goes down to that support, dollar Swiss is still rallying, then it might just continue back up into that level of resistance through here. But that's the way I'd kind of play this at the moment. I'd probably play it a little bit slowly, because I wouldn't want to get kind of caught up in this choppiness through here. If anything, the 4-hour time frame looks quite nice in terms of I've got this kind of zone down through here. Again, that would be kind of an area of volume in here, an area of low volume, and then we've got volume here. So if price was to kind of come back towards this point, then there's potential for an opportunity around there. Hopefully that made sense. Right, guy, dollar is kind of flat right now. It's ranging. I hope it breaks to the upside, but it would have to close above 103.50 or 103.60 on the daily for dollar index. What do you think? Yeah, let's go take a look at the dollar index. I'm very bullish dollar at the moment. I think that we're seeing sort of evidence that the dollar could continue to push higher. We've recently, from a technical outlook anyway, we've broken out of this kind of bearish channel here. We had a period of consolidation between the 102s up to the 102.75s. We've broken through that as well. We came into resistance at the 103.50, and look at the price action here. It's not really indicative of selling pressure, is it? It kind of reminds me of this consolidation here where we've got a bit of sideways movement, but basically we could see a break to the next level of resistance. So I am fairly confident with that dollar strength. Obviously, we've got the strength meter that can back us up a little bit. Dollar data actually hasn't been too bad recently. So, I think we saw a drop in the unemployment claims last week, didn't we? And things like that. So there is an element of dollar strength around, and I do feel like that if that is to continue, we could see price kind of head towards the next levels of resistance. I think the really important level is this 104.50. I think if we breach that, then I think dollar could continue to perform quite well throughout these kind of next month or so. But yeah, we'll have to wait to see what happens. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't really know what's going to happen next. If I did, I probably would have bet all my money on a breakout. But you can see here, like, there's evidence from a technical view, whether you depend on technicals or not. But yeah, you can see there's a consolidation. We're kind of breaking trend line resistance here as well. 103.50 is a definite sticking point. We need to see price breach that. I would agree with that. And if it does kind of breach these highs, then it opens the door up, doesn't it, for a bit of a move higher. So I would agree with you there. Break of 103.50 is the safer option for us on the dollar index. But like I said, I do like the idea of the dollar moving higher. So yeah, I am looking across the board at sort of dollar opportunities. I did like Aussie US dollar short going into this week. I talked about this in the week ahead analysis video, and I was looking at basically to see if price would hold at this 0.66 handle. Now, I like to use a top-down analysis approach when I look at the market. So I'll view the weekly time frame, I'll go to the daily, go to the 4-hour, mark out some zones, and then obviously when it comes to an actual sort of trading opportunity, I can do that on lower time frames. But I can see on this weekly chart here that we're consecutively bearish here on Aussie US dollar. The only sort of sticking point is the fact that we have come into an area where price has been supported in the past. So I expect a little bit of bullishness from that. I thought that we'd get a little bit more downside because the data out of China hasn't been great. And obviously the Australian economy depends quite a lot on what's going on in China. However, obviously a little bit of stimulus coming into China has maybe prompted this little bit of a response from the Australian dollar, but you won't see the effects of that necessarily straight away. So I was expecting a little bit of pressure here. Now, yesterday we had a daily bearish close, and that to me kind of opened the door up to an opportunity. Okay, so the way I like to look at it is weekly, is it bearish? Yes, tick that off the list. Daily, do I get a bearish close in favor of the direction? Yes. So on the 4-hour, then I like to go and sort of identify those support and resistance zones, think in terms of volumes as well. Where are the volumes placed in the market? Now, I can know that volume's up here, okay, and I know that volume is building down here. This is a period of low volume, okay. We know that because prices move very quickly between these 2 points. So this area here, this 0.66, probably up to 0.6610 or 20 even, is a sort of shelf. Okay, I like to call them shelves or ledges. Okay, now if I was just to go get a volume profile just to kind of prove my point, let's just grab that, go from the swing high, let's just cover it all. You can see you get consolidation there, which is a little bit of volume, low volume, low volume. It picks up through this period because it's consolidation. We then have low volume, and then the volume starts picking up again. So you can actually see this value area low of this move from the high on the 27th of December up to current price is in line with that sort of area where the volume starts to drop off again, this low volume pocket. Okay, so if I know price breaks into that area, closes into it, I know, or I don't know, but I have a good understanding that maybe price is going to go and seek value elsewhere, and it might run up to the next level of volume. We haven't had that here. Price has come into it, it's rejected. It came into it yesterday, or actually overnight, and has rejected again. So I feel like maybe sellers don't really want to see price, or buyers want to see price above this 0.66 really. So I was looking for potential downside here on Aussie US dollar. Now, whether we get anything substantial or not, I haven't really sort of traded anything here, to be honest. Let me just click off these volume profiles a second. But, you know, I can see now maybe we are starting to get a little bit of a move forming. So obviously that area would have been super important. It was the previous high. Basically, this is where sellers have have pushed the market down from. So we know sellers or strong sellers are active at around this level. Price has come back in and we started to see a bit of a push away. We attempted 0.66 again, and we're starting to see a bit of a bearish move now. So we might start to get the sort of things that we're looking for here in terms of looking for that short for a bit of a move lower. Would I take anything on this position? Now, you know me, I do like a lower low, lower close candlestick. So, you know, that could be a bearish sign. I would prefer to have been shorter at 0.66, maybe on the retest there. You know, if I missed that initial lower low, lower close candle, I could have looked for a sell limit order with my stop losses above the highs, and I'd look to have targeted down towards that sort of swing low there. If I'm looking for, let's say that closes as is in the 40 minutes, and I look to get short, risk reward wise, it's not as good. I mean, it's still 1.8 R, but I wouldn't feel as comfortable as if I was in a little bit higher up. So maybe what we look for, sorry, let me just take these volume profiles off as well. Maybe a look for another retest. Let's see if price can come back. If we can come back to 0.66 again, you know, sometimes markets want to go and retest those areas. And if it fails, then that could be, you know, the catalyst that kind of drives prices lower here for Aussie dollar. So I do quite like Australian dollar at the minute. I like the price action on the daily time frame. I'm just looking to see how we can kind of get involved with that market. Very similar to what I'm looking at across the board. So the reason why I'm involved in euro is because of a similar sort of price action. Okay, now I actually got stopped out of a euro short initially, but I got back in with 2 positions because it's set up again. You know, sometimes you're going to get stopped out of positions before they go. This is something that I talk about all the time. Let me just grab euro dollar. I actually took 2 positions. One got stopped. One got stopped. The other, I cut myself out of it basically because I wasn't seeing the right sort of price action at the time. And now I'm in 2 positions. Okay, so I'm just going to hover this and float this sort of side by side here. If you want to see that it's real, there you go. It says at the top here, real. Okay, so these were the 2 trades that I had. Let me zoom in a little bit. So I've got 2 positions at the moment. You can see this is the one that got stopped out. So I ended up going short here. This was actually off the daily time frame. I ended up short in the daily close, put my stop loss above the swing high. I felt that the momentum from that candlestick here would drive prices lower. That wasn't to be the case. Price rallied, took me out of the position. Okay, so I ended up getting in short again at this point through there, and then I ended up taking a short on this lower low, lower close candlestick. So this is the one that I talk about with you guys all the time, is looking for the lower low, lower close. So you can see I've took 2 positions there. The stop losses are exactly the same, and I'm targeting this daily swing low in here. So you can see the risk reward ratio is pretty good on these 2. So on the first position, the risk reward is just over a 4-to-1, and on the second position, it's not quite as good, but it's about a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. Okay, so this is how trading works sometimes. You know, sometimes you try and get into a move. So I got into a move initially here. I was seeing a lot of sort of spiky price action. I wasn't comfortable in the position. That's not what I want to see. I want to see momentum driving behind the positions, right? So exit the position. At the end of the day, it's your capital. You should be able to do what you want with it. I entered a daily short here because I felt that the market could come all the way down into sort of this area here, which you can see I've got marked out on these blue lines here. That wasn't to be. I got stopped, but I felt that the position was a good one. It just wasn't obviously the right time to get involved with the market. And the Asia session obviously was rallying quite aggressively. We know that sometimes in the London session that can get flipped. So yeah, I ended up taking a couple of positions short here, looking for the continuation to the downside on this particular move. Okay, so hopefully we can see a little bit of a push. We're not too far away from targets here. How far am I away? About 14 pips away from targets. So hopefully we can see that continue to push down in this afternoon session. In terms of data, there's not too much coming out. We've got the Richmond Manufacturing Index, which is coming out at 3 p.m. But other than that, in terms of euro and dollar data, there's not too much coming out. So hopefully that can extend and continue down. But the reason I got involved with this was because of the price action here. We can see I want to be dollar long. The market's pushed lower, we've moved sideways, we've pushed lower again, we've moved sideways. I'm looking to see, can price come and target sort of these areas in here for euro dollar? You know, the ultimate target would be down towards this 1.0750, but whether we get that is a sort of different question. So yeah, using top-down analysis, came down to the 4-hour time frame. Obviously, I like the daily close anyway yesterday, so I went short there. But I saw that price came back up into that 4-hour high. And yeah, hourly lower low, lower close. I also got in a little bit earlier on a bit more of an aggressive move as well. So yeah, that's euro dollar in a nutshell. I do like the idea of euro dollar short. Like I said, I like the idea of being dollar long. So it makes sense to have a look at that market in particular. Hopefully that makes sense. Hi, Chris. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, like I said, I do like Australian dollar downside. Let's go flip over to some yen stuff. So Swiss yen. Let's have a little look at Swiss yen, because that is on the currency strength meter for a potential short. I don't quite see that yet. I can see that obviously price has come up into sort of key highs here. We've kind of come up into that 170 spot 50 up to sort of the 171 spot 50, and we're kind of rejecting. So maybe I should move that resistance sort of up here now. But yeah, I don't see any kind of reason to jump on short here unless we kind of breach this little daily range. The only idea I would have short is if we came back up into 170, 130. So if we came back up into that high and I saw kind of bearish price action, maybe we could look for a short there. But I'd need to see price take this out. For me, if I get that new daily low, you know, that could obviously trigger a bit of a move lower. And we didn't really get that much of a reaction from the BOJ announcement, really, did we? I mean, I know that daily candlestick looks a bit whipsawy there, but there's not really any kind of momentum push since. It kind of seems to have quietened down a little bit. So we'll see. Maybe in the Asia session overnight, we'll get some more yen moves. That typically when the yen does do a lot of its work is in those sort of sessions. So naturally. So we'll have to wait and see. I did like the idea of potentially getting short Aussie yen. Now, again, this is a little bit more because price was a little bit more sort of grindy, I guess, to the upside. It wasn't really, it's a bit choppy, isn't it? And I saw that we came back up into the highs that formed back on the 11th of January. I looked at the 4-hour time frame and thought, you know, maybe that's a good short on this lower low, lower close here. But I haven't got involved with that. And I mean, looks like it's probably a good thing that I'm not involved with this. I did like the look of the daily close yesterday off of that resistance. But yeah, the yen's not really giving me any evidence right now that it wants to be bought. Yeah, you know, like I said, when I use the currency strength meter, I want to see a slight sort of uptick here. That would give me the good reasoning that yes, yen is starting to strengthen again. That's why I'm so interested in the dollar, because it's starting to show the strength coming back into the market. So yeah, I'm kind of holding out here on the yen at the minute. I want to see, can it produce anything for us? If not, can it remain weak, and can we potentially buy it? So that is or sell it, sorry, against some of the currencies. Maybe dollar yen long wouldn't be a bad thing to look at if we're looking at the continuation of that yen weakness. Now, obviously, I was long dollar yen last week. I'm out of those positions now. Bit of consolidation here. I mean, look at that. Does that really say to you that sellers are really getting aggressive here? Doesn't to me, does it? So that's why I wouldn't be so keen on kind of buying any kind of yen yet either. You know, dollar yen's not really doing anything, just moving a bit sideways. But if it was to then breach higher, then that could be a catalyst that sees price move up towards 151, which is definitely something I would be interested in at that point. I'd be definitely interested in price kind of moving lower there. Any questions so far, guys? Is there any other markets that you're looking at? I will go flick over and have a little look at gold and whatnot in a minute. Because obviously if the dollar's going to start performing well, we could see a little bit of downside in gold. That's not really being too reflected just yet. Yeah, ended up getting short gold last week and got stopped on it. Which is kind of what we discussed in last week's live stream. I was looking to get short in and around this area here, around about that $2019 area. I did get short and yeah, ultimately got stopped out on that one. So that didn't follow through, which was kind of unfortunate. It was a little bit surprising to me, considering that sort of price action there looked like we weren't going to see sort of a big follow through back to the upside. You know, ultimately I was wrong, and price continued to make that move higher. We didn't really get any lower closes on the 4-hour time frame either. So in the end, that one didn't work out very well. But that's not nothing to worry about. Just have to look to see if anything else can form. Now, for me, we're above support. You know, 2019 spot 25. That area there was a support point in the past. I wanted to get short, anticipating that this candle here essentially would be another daily bearish close, but it just wasn't. It just kind of pulled back on me, took me out of the position there. So yeah, looking to see, can we either roll over here or hold and move higher? Gold is a little bit of an interesting one at the moment. There's not really any kind of momentum here. If the dollar was going to get stronger, I would say that it might be a good idea to look at gold short again, but there's nothing here right now anyway that makes me want to short gold. You know, maybe if we kind of breach this 2019 again, I might look for the exact same position and see if we can trade down towards the 1980. But until that happens, got to be a little bit cautious there. Sorry guys, I'm just watching euro dollar drop a little bit more. It's getting close to targets now, so I'm going to just move stops, try and lock in a little bit of profit here. I'm going to go, and the first trade's at 4-1 basically, so I'm going to close that position. I'm going to leave the second position running, see if it can hit the full 2-1 targets there on euro dollar. So yeah, I'll leave that one running. Okay, yeah, so yeah, gold not really doing that great. I mean, it's quite funny actually. The Dow would have been a really good long in the end. We can see that obviously price has come back down, double bottomed as well into that level. So we talked about potentially seeing the Dow remain within this range or breach it and move down to the next level of volume, which was down here where we'd ultimately look for a long position. So it didn't happen in the end. It stayed within the range and price rallied. So that would have been a nice long opportunity, but I didn't actually get into anything there. If Brown, what you make of euro pound from here? Now, euro pound, I feel like euro pound was my nemesis. I wanted to be sure. I took a short position on it. I mean, look at that. It would have hit full targets. I ended up taking it out for break even, but yeah, it would have hit full targets there. Just didn't have the will to hold this one as it kind of chopped side to side there. We're now at a level of support. Again, you know, look at sort of what's your feelings towards euro dollar. I know my feelings are it's coming, you know, is to be a little bit short. And what's your feelings on pound US dollar? I think if you expect cable to sort of move lower, but you also expect euro dollar to move lower, then there's potential for this to chop again and range. If you feel that euro dollar is going to breach those lows, continue lower, but pound's going to find a little bit of support, then obviously that could drive euro pound prices to the downside. So now we're at support. You know, I like to look at where the sort of bigger picture is as well. Let's go back up into the daily chart. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's these lows down here are the targets, aren't they? There's a very big sort of supporting zone between the 15th of June to the 5th of September, where we just had consecutive sort of bounces at these lows. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did breach down towards this zone before seeing another kind of break. But I would be concerned about sort of the low that's already kind of been formed here. You know, is it worth getting short here? Essentially, that's what I like to ask myself. You know, where's the value in getting short there? If you've got good risk reward ratio, if it follows a strategic sort of plan that you have in place and you've got some kind of probability behind you, then yeah, go for it. Look for the short on euro pound. I just think I think the move might just be a little bit done here, and I wouldn't want to get caught on the wrong side right now. Just me personally. I think, like I said, if I wanted to buy pound against a currency, it would definitely be more towards pound Swiss at the minute. That would be my preference to be a buyer of. Oh, Vincent, sorry, I missed your message. Pound Oz, I'm looking for longs. Let's have a look at pound Oz. Yeah, it's still stuck at that point, isn't it? I think we looked at this last week, didn't we? Still kind of stuck at that point, that one spot, 93.34. I don't, again, ask yourself the question, where's the value in it? Where have you got to put your stop losses? Where are you putting your targets? Where's the risk reward ratio? Where's the value in that? You know, I think what we looked at last week was it would have been better to obviously be a buyer on the 3rd of June because we looked at cable, not 3rd of June, what was it? 3rd of January, sorry, because cable at the time on the 3rd of January was at this support in here, okay, pushing back up to highs within that range. And then we had the Australian dollar at the time on the 3rd of Jan was bearish, okay? It was in that sort of open space, moving down to those support points. So that made sense to say, okay, well, pound Aussie long would make a lot of sense at that point because pound dollar's at support, Aussie US dollar was at resistance, moving away from that resistance. So that makes it sort of the one to watch on an opportunity. Have we got that same situation now? I don't necessarily think so. Although I personally like the idea of being short Aussie US dollar, we are technically at support, okay? Pound isn't. It's at resistance. So if anything, you've got the opposite going on at the moment, I would say. Yeah, Bitcoin is moving nicely to the downside. I think I missed the move there. Lovely daily close yesterday. Yeah, it broke the area, didn't it? It broke that zone that we were looking at. This little area in here, that 40,000. This was the area I logged, this 37 sort of K area. I'll add a little alert on there. This was where I thought price would try and make a push towards based on volumes. If we look at the volume profile, you can see we get that sort of large sort of volume pop in there. Again, we breached that sort of period of volume there. We've got low volume. Price tends to move quickly through that point, and it comes down towards an area of high volume. So I quite like the idea of Bitcoin moving a little bit lower. It seems to me that even though there was a little bit of a sort of triumph in the Bitcoin world, in the crypto world, with the ETFs and stuff, it doesn't seem to have played well into Bitcoin's pricing. Maybe we're just seeing that little bit of a, almost the sort of retail rush again. When retail start getting involved and start thinking that the ETFs are a good thing, look what happens to price. It does the absolute opposite. They'll start to panic. They'll start to get their money out. That will increase that sort of supply of the of Bitcoin. Price will continue to drop. We need that sort of balance to start kind of coming back a little bit. So maybe we'll see a lot more downside of Bitcoin in the short term. But let's see how it reacts. Let's see if it reacts to this volume area. If it does, then I think there could be a good idea to be long. But if it doesn't and it breaches beyond that, then you've got this kind of 32.60 area which was breached. That could be an area as well of potential support for price. So we'll see what happens there with Bitcoin. It's definitely an interesting market to watch. Was you watching the FTSE as well? Look at that. We were talking about the break and retest of this area in here, and it just absolutely tanked. And I was looking back for a retest at 7,600, and this was where I said maybe I won't go short on the hourly lower low, lower close candle. I'll wait for and what a big move that was missed. So it happens to me all the time. If you feel like you're missing out on moves, don't worry about it, because I'll miss out on loads of moves. But look at that. Could have had a nice, easy, low drawdown move there on FTSE. Missed out on that one, but that was a nice kind of move to look for. Again, we've got this nice sort of trading range being developed here, starting to sort of stick around the 7,500 area now on the FTSE. So we'll see. Again, just kind of watching it. How does price react? That daily price action looks very, very bearish, in my opinion. No higher closes or anything like that. Everything's just kind of, obviously we've still got the day to go, but yeah, I didn't get involved with that. Yeah, fun. Yeah, I made a pending order on FTSE, never got triggered yet. Unfortunately, I kind of looked at it, went away, didn't come back to it, and yeah, it's continued to kind of go. What other markets were we looking at? I mean, natural gas as well. It's come all the way back down. So it came up into that level on the weekly chart and has completely dropped again as well. Some crazy price action going on here. Geopolitics are probably playing heavily into that at the moment. Where's oil at? Yeah, oil's not really made a move above the sort of $74 area yet. It's kind of just hovering around that. Yeah, volatility index still fairly low. Will Palladium make a comeback? I'm watching this one. I'm watching the daily closes on this one still. So yeah, could be an opportunity on Palladium to come. Yeah, metals in general having a bad time. Yeah, I think they are. Again, you've got the idea if the dollar's going to get stronger as well, would that kind of drive the Palladium price to the downside? Haven't looked at the fundamentals, to be honest, behind Palladium yet. So maybe I'll go have a little research, do a little bit of seasonal analysis, a little bit of cut analysis, and some other fundamental research into, why it could move higher, make a case for it. And if there is no case, then there might not be an opportunity at all. So we'll have to have to have a look to see if there is anything. I don't like to trade things like palladium without a fundamental sort of backing. I don't really like to trade those type of markets like that. It needs a catalyst. You know, supply and demand at the end of the day. Okay then, guys. I think I'm going to leave it there. We've done about 45 minutes. I feel like that went really quickly, and I haven't really took breath there. But like I said, I like the idea of being sort of euro dollar short. I like the idea of looking at sort of dollar Swiss as well. I'll be keeping an eye on sort of those dollar pairs. I think the dollar's the sort of market for me at the minute, so I'll be watching those. Potentially look at a dollar Swiss long at some point. So yeah, that's the only really thing I've got to look at this week. So I'll leave it there. I'll be back on Thursday at 2 p.m. GMT, and I'll catch you then, guys. So have a great rest of your trading day. Thank you to everybody who joined the stream again. So just give a few shout outs. Guy, thank you. Vincent, Fan, Justin, Suba, Ishmael, thank you very much. Chris F, thank you for joining me again. And I really appreciate it. You're taking your time to come and watch. And yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe, that like button, guys. I really would appreciate that. And I will catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys. Have a great day.